Good morning and welcome to Mystical Teachings from the Tanya. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine coming to you from my home in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Let us say hello to Fariba. Shalom. Andrea from New Jersey, good morning. Arya from Miami, Boker Tov. Susan from Scranton, Pennsylvania, good morning. Clem from Brisbane. Must be very late at night. And Sigalit from New York, welcome. Jan from Mexico, Boker Tov. Erica from Norway, good afternoon. Linda, together with Denise, sisters that study Tanya together, stay together. Good morning. Heather from Norwich, Connecticut, good morning and thank you for joining. Zayla, shalom from Florida. Anna from Budapest in Hungary. Thank you for joining. And Sarah Malka. Thank you. And thank you for your constant kindness. Louise Bokato from Sydney, Australia, where it must be a very late evening. Sandy, good morning. Jeremy, shalom. Nicoletta from Italy. Shalom. Joatha from Brazil. Louise or Louis, I'm not sure it's certain. Shalom. Robert, good morning. Darren from Saskatchewan, if I recall correctly, from Saskatchewan. Karen from LA and John from North Carolina. Okay. Today, folks, we conclude chapter 7, speaking about the unity of God. We spoke yesterday about the all-encompassing light of God that has an infinite quality to it, and the immanent, invested light. Invested in the sense that it is palpable. Its impact is felt as it is in this world. Both are here. When we say encompassing, it doesn't mean it's not here. It is very much here, but encompassing meaning that its impact is not felt. It's too great. It's too powerful. If it were to be felt, we wouldn't be. Now the Alter Rebbe takes this a step further. Because what in fact is the creative process? What does it engage? So we're talking about encompassing light, a light immanent that's from within. How does that express itself in the final, so to speak, analysis, in a sense? And that is through speech. As we know, Vayomer Hashem, and God said, it's speech of God that is ultimately the power of creation. Now, in speech, there are two elements. One is the breath, which in a sense is equal in all speech. By the way, without breath, there's no verbalization. It wouldn't be expressed. But there's an equality in the speech, in the breath. And then there's the letters of speech. The actual letters. So, in the breath, the Alter Rebbe explains, the breath being sort of the equalizer in speech, it is an expression of the divine attributes that have an infinite quality to it. So if it were just from the breath of God's mouth that he would, again, figuratively create the world, what would be? everything would have an infinite quality to it. Everything would have an infinite dimension to it. It would not create a finite physical world, because in the breath is vested the divine attributes. The divine attributes are one with God. The divine attributes, therefore, being one with God, having an infinite quality to it, would create infinite, not amount of worlds, but the quality would be infinite, and we would not be finite, limited beings. Where does the finitude come from? Where does the limitation come from? Where does the physicality come from? It's from the letters. Even in the letters, there's distinction. There are the letters that God creates, and let there be light. Let there be a sun. Let there be rakia, the firmament above. Mayim, water. All of those creations are the way they are in the 10 statements that are in Genesis. And those things have, well, they don't have an infinite quality, because obviously a sun is a sun and a moon is a moon and water is water. But they have a more enduring, more, I don't know, I guess in a certain way, in the physical realm, more of an unlimited parameters to it. I don't know if I chose the right words for that. I don't know if that's the right way to express it, but so be it. Where does the rest of creation come from? So the Alter Rebbe explains that because not everything there in the 6 days of creation is mentioned. Evan is not mentioned, a stone's not mentioned, fire is not mentioned. So where's fire come from? So there's an idea of taking what's called combination of letters, supposition of letters, substitutions, transpositions of letters, and numerical values of the letters. This is all the creative process, the energy field, so to speak, of God in the creative process. All of this is a metaphor for us to understand the various contraction on the divine light. So Shemesh and Or, sun and light, mentioned in the 10 statements in the Torah itself, in Genesis, are a lesser contraction of the divine light. But then there's other created things that are greater contraction of the divine light. So, for example, combination, meaning you're taking a letter from here and a letter from there in the 6 days of creation, putting them together, you made a new word. You know what that new word is? A new divine energy that is bringing into existence, with its unique qualities, a new creation. So let's take Aleph from Or, let's take Shin from Shemesh, put the two together and you have Aish, fire. Fire is from the combination of light and sun. 2 letters, make a new word. Is that word there H before? No, but you took a combination and put them together. What do you got? Fire. That's a contraction of the divine light. It shows in the contract. Why? Because it's not the original letters. It's a letter here, letter there. Not the, original letters, but not the original word of creation. So that shows that a come down, a contraction of the divine light. Then you have substitutions, transposition of letters, which there's many ways to do that. One way is called the atbash. The first letter, aleph, is connected to the last letter, tuf, of the Hebrew alphabet. So you can switch them. Second letter, beit, base, with shin, can be switched around. So you're not taking the original letter, you're taking another letter. So it's not even the letter from or, you're switching it. What is it, like we're playing a game over here? I'm not playing a game. It's just showing down on the contraction of the divine light. That now that what this will create is a lesser creation that has lesser vitality, lesser revelation of God's presence. Is God present there? Absolutely. It's just more hidden. Right? I don't have an example for that, sorry. But then we have the third level, and that's called Gematria, the cheshbon, the numeric value. In other words, it's not the letter itself that is the vital force, it's its number. So to speak, reduced to a number, which means lesser, because a number is a number, as opposed to a letter, which let's get back to a letter for a moment. Each letter itself shows on the divine, the shape of the letter, the numeric value of the letter, the way the letter is pronounced, aleph, what its meaning. Aleph means commander. In the Israeli army, a general is called an aluf, letter aleph. The shape of the letter is meaningful as a divine creative force. The content of what it means and its numeric value are all connected together to make that letter a force of divine vitality, creative force. By the way, you only have that in the Hebrew language. You don't have it in any other language. Every letter is it's not happenstance. Therefore, the words are not, because they're a creative force. So, the last is the Gematria, the cheshbon, the numeric value. Because now it's not about the letter itself, but what its number represents. So the alternative gives an example of Evan, of a stone. Evan is spelled aleph, base, long nun. So base and nun is a numeric value. Base is 2, nun is 50. 52. 52 is God's name. Numeric value of 52, when you take God's name, don't have it here. I mean, I got... Okay, Yud, Hey, Vav, and a Hey. Yud, when you spell it out, is Yud, Vav, Daled, which is numeric value of 20. Hey, in this instance, is Hey, Hey, spelled out. That's Hey, like Yud, you're spelling it out. And then Vav is Vav, Vav, and then Hey, Hey, Hey. So Vav, Vav is 6 and 6 is 12. This is 5 and 5 is 10. So you got 10. So 20, 30, 42, 52. That's the name of God. There's different ways to spell out God's name. This way is numeric value of 52. So N, of course, is an expression of God's name, but not of his name itself. It's not the letters itself that are the vital force, but its numeric value, 52. Together with an aleph, as the Alter Rebbe says, as known to the Creator. So what is the point over here? As this is to express the numeric value, the gematria of a decreased, contracted diminution of the divine light. And therefore what comes out of it is a stone, a mere stone. Well, not a mere stone, because everything is creation of God. And as we explained, this is a greatly contracted light. And that is the divine light as it is enclosed within the world through letters. So what do we have over here? Interesting idea. Speech is made up of two elements, breath and letters. The breath is the same breath every word that we say, so to speak, the equalizer, the encompassing light, the infinite, so to speak, quality of the word of God that creates, that the breath itself wouldn't create finite, limited, created beings. It needs to come into letters. And the letters itself, to make up words, that's itself, there's different qualities of those letters. Different levels, meaning, of the creative force as it encloses itself within creation. Higher beings, higher creative things, those higher creative things, the reduction of the light isn't as great, the contraction isn't as much, and therefore it's more of a heavenly body, so to speak. A reflection more of, or a revelation more of, God. So, in human speech, which parallels the divine speech, amazing idea, God's speech creates. Well, our speech, being that we're created in the divine image, also has a capability of being creative. As a matter of fact, humans are called in Hebrew, medaber, communicators, speakers, because in our speech we have a great power of impact, power of changing the world, changing ourselves. And we have to be very careful, of course, as a result, that the impact is that it's reflecting the light of God that's encompassing or is enclothing in the words that we express the light of God, as God does when in his creative power of making a world, of bringing it into existence. So likewise, we have that power of great impact as a result. All right, folks, that's the end of chapter 7. More to come on the Koyach HaPoel Benifal, the power of creator within creation. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from my home in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Folks, please share the Tanya with others. The world is waiting for your impact. Have a wonderful day.